Hello, everyone. My name is Ben, part of the Edmonton.net user group. This is our first StreamYard presentation, so bear with us as we work out some technical details. For example, you're listening to my voice. I'm really here, but unfortunately, I can't seem to get video to work, but I am a real person. I just want to welcome you and want to briefly introduce our speaker. We're very privileged to have Aneesh, who is a Microsoft MVP in developer technologies. He's worked on open source libraries, and he is one of the organizers of the New York City mobile.NET developer meetup. Today, he will be speaking on the new technology MAUI. So without further ado, I would like to bring him on. Just give me a moment and let's welcome Anish.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the trip to Maui on .NET. A cool name, isn't it? So I hope I am audible enough to everyone. My name is Anish. I'm a Microsoft MVP. I run one of the mobile .NET. I'm a co-organizer for one of the mobile .NET groups in New York City. I also work in New York City for New York City on my full-time job, right? And so today we are going to look at Maui.NET. It's actually called .NET Maui. The island folks would kill us if you say Maui.NET. Yeah, like ASP.NET should have been Maui.NET, but it's actually .NET Maui. So today we will look into its architecture and go through 56 slides. No, I'm kidding. So we will go through a couple of slides and then jump right into building a .NET MAUI app from scratch. And we will do it like regular folks do, without much preparations. And this is not going to be scripted. We are going to have compilation issues. We are going to have problems, and we will address them as we move forward. And we will use Google a lot, just like normal programmers do, right? So let me just first bring up one of my presentation which I built. It's not a lot of slides, I promise. Right. Okay. Wrong page. 1 second. I have to. Oh, it's still wrong page. Right. I need to bring that. Okay. I have no notes, but I probably might have to bring this into the other page. Uh, okay. I would like to. Okay. A little bit of struggle with the PowerPoint. I would like to bring the PowerPoint on my other screen instead of this screen. So Ben, if you can hear me, I would like to bring my other screen to the presentation as well. So I'm going to stop sharing this. No, actually not stop sharing. I'm going to have to stop the screen, and then I would like to share the screen. Um, Share screen. Okay. All right. Um, okay. So, okay. Now let me present my slides. Okay, here we go. All right. Okay. I hope everybody can see the PowerPoint presentation. As I said, it's not going to be a lot of slides. This is called MAUI because it's instead of calling it cross-platform, they call it multi-platform UI application UI development. So that's why it's called MAUI. And we are thankful to .NET Foundation. I just want to mention that .NET Foundation is an umbrella under which 380 meetup groups like this runs worldwide. They provide streaming support, and that's how we are able to go live on YouTube today. And thanks to them, the foundation itself is a non-profit foundation which exists for the sole purpose of promoting open source software, which is in and around .NET ecosystem. And we are standing on their shoulders today, and utilizing the services they provide. So now, this I took from GitHub, right? So this .NET, this is multi-platform app UI. So this .NET MAUI in short is something the Microsoft team built, which can be leveraged to build several types of applications, not web applications. Other than that, everything else, operating system related. So for example, you can build iOS applications, you can build iPad or iPhone applications, you can build Android applications such as Android phone applications or Android tablet applications. You can build Mac applications, right? Mac OS applications. You can build Windows. You can even build something called Tizen OS applications, which is actually Samsung. Samsung has an operating system called Tizen, which runs on watches and Samsung TVs and stuff like that. So you kind of build, write once, and run anywhere kind of motto. A lot of people just say the same thing. So I would compare, if I have to compare Maui, I would compare it with React and Flutter, but Maui is a little more bigger brother. Even though the community support is still in the emerging phase, Maui is a little more. Maui can have a lot more outreach than the rest of its competitors, just because you can use the same code base to target several things, including the tvOS, as I was saying, right? So you build ones, and you kind of deploy to pretty much every operating system available, including watches, cell phones, tablets. Yeah, I don't know, car. I'm not so sure, right? I haven't done it, so possibly. So what does Maui do, and how does it work, right? So it's on .NET 6. It was on preview for a long time, and then it came out. I believe .NET MAUI is going to be one of the highlights in next month's .NET Conf, which is happening for 3 days. And what it does is it kind of leverages a common framework, which can actually hook into the native features of different applications, right? So when I say native features, right, what it means on iOS, what happens is iOS has this UI kit, and uh, the Maui can build the corresponding UI kit. I wouldn't say widgets, but the UI kit elements for iOS. But you don't have to worry about it. Maui take that worry out of your hand, and it does create the corresponding elements. For example, if you are building for Android, it creates the widgets for you. So if there is a master detail control, or you wanted to do a left side navigation menu, which is kind of famous for Android and not so famous for iOS, but if you wanted to do that, the Maui takes that worry out of your hand and build it for you. That's what it is. So for Windows, what it does is it uses the Windows app SDK, and then build the Windows controls for you. And for Tizen, not so sure. I haven't played with it yet. So it probably creates the basic controls for you on Tizen. And for Mac, Mac Catalyst, it does creates a native Mac controls for you. That's why it says it's a cross-platform native UI. It's not like Apache Cordova. It's not like what else to compare. It's more like React Native if you have used it, right? It's cross-platform. It's going to work on several platforms, but it is native. It's not like it's not like you have an app where you have the feeling that a website is sitting on the app, which is what hybrid apps are, where you have a web view where you kind of render HTML, and stuff like that. And so this is not that. This is actually real native apps built using same code base, which is a dream, and they made that happen, right? So as I said, it can be deployed to multiple devices, mobile and desktop, available with .NET, single project, single code base. That's the beauty of it, right? So here, let me get to the next slide. So you can see the popularity. I just put that, I just captured it like today. So you can see the popularity of .NET MAUI is increasing, and I believe this is a great product, and I'm pretty sure that unlike Xamarin, since this also supports the Windows, that this probably is the future of Windows development as well. So they would, since everything is merged together into one piece, and this is going to be better supported than Xamarin Forms and other things. Is what my understanding is. So the possibilities are endless. Okay, so today what are we going to do? We are going to hook into the OnlyFans API and show some content. No, I'm just kidding. No, we are not going to do that. So what we are going to do is we are going to call some GitHub API and then look into some interesting numbers and interesting repositories which came during the pandemic, after the pandemic, before the pandemic, and things like that. I was looking into the GitHub APIs and I saw a way to call that, and then I thought, why not? We can use that as a mechanism. We can use that as an app, and we are going to build an app using that. So here, okay, that we can do later. So that is all my presentation, and I'm going to go back to. All right. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So what we are going to do today, right? What we are going to do today is we are going to build, as I said, we are going to build an application, and we are going to call one of the famous GitHub APIs. And this is the API I thought is interesting. If everybody can see this, this actually gives you the list of repositories on GitHub after a specific date. Actually, it should be a year after a specific date, and then it kind of lists who is famous, and I'm going to sort them on stars. So essentially, the API is telling you that who is the most famous repository on GitHub with most number of stars. We are going to display that on a simple MAUI app. That is the target. But even before we go there, let's create a new MAUI app and see what comes by default, right? Okay, so I'm going to okay, so there, the Visual Studio is booting up. So here I'm going to create a new project. Okay, so what we are going to build is MAUI, and let's see what comes up, right? You can see 3 projects are coming. We are going to do this actually. So what are the rest of them? One is a library. As you could guess, we can create a library, a class library. Yeah, the good old DLLs, which you can share across several devices. As you could see, you can see a lot of things, Mac Catalyst, Android, iOS, Tizen, Windows, and everything there. So that's not what we are going to do. It's just a library, and this is a hybrid app which I was talking. And MAUI also supports web views and hybrid apps where you can use HTML and Blazor and all of that. That's also not the thing we are going to do today. And what we are going to do is we are going to build a native app. I mean, real thing, the real deal, right? So let's create that, which is MAUI app 4. So as I said, this is not going to be heavily scripted, and we may face challenges, and we may have problems, and then we will solve them, and we will build what we wanted to build. And I have a strong 45 to 50 minutes now. So okay, so it created something for me, right? So it created something for me, automatically selected Windows machine for me. If you look into the other details of this, right? So if you look into the other details of it, okay, what is it? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. All right. Okay. Just give it a moment. Oh yeah, there. You see there is a lot of things coming up. So Windows machine, you can run it on Windows machine. You can run it on iOS devices. You can run it on Android emulators. I have set up a Pixel 5 Android emulator here. And Tizen is not coming up. I will tell you why. And several frameworks and platforms and operating systems MAUI supports gets displayed here. Um, uh, you know, this is the type of target frameworks you can actually deploy MAUI to. So now, what it what actually, let us go through the structure of this particular project. That is one project it created. Nice. It does have some dependencies. You can see that some Android, iOS, Mac Catalyst, and Windows dependencies are coming up. Some analysis. These are some interesting things. We will come back to it later. So let's go into the platforms. You can see individual folders. What does this folders do? These folders actually helps you write platform specific code. So sometimes you may have certain type of things only a specific platform supports. For example, Android may have an alarm manager. I mean, I don't think the alarm manager exists anymore, but something very specific to Android, which is not there on other operating systems, which you can actually code in here, where you can see that the main activity, which is like if you create an Android project in Java, you see that, and the main applications and things like that. So similar to that, other applications, you can see the app delegate for iOS and the program which boots things up. And for Windows, its details. It says Tizen here, and it doesn't have Tizen here. That is because if you go inside the CS project, you can see that the Tizen portion is commented out by default by the MAUI team. Just uncomment it, and you will have Tizen there, right? I haven't built a Samsung Tizen operating system app yet. So I don't know how to use it. I don't know how to deploy it, but it is there. If you are interested in building it, you uncomment it, and it's going to come up. The project reloads, and there it is, right? So since we already opened the CS project file, you can see that it actually targets Android, iOS, and Mac Catalyst right now on that frameworks. And this is what is being listed right now. And here you see the app icon.svg. There is an svg file. There is a splash svg file. These svg files are, there is a splash. There is an icon which comes up. There is a .NET board. It's nothing but I don't know the word for it. Is a cartoon type of thing for .NET. It's a .NET board image. So here are the resources fonts. Under the resources fonts is where all the fonts are going to be at. And that is what yeah. One more thing, you see this interesting piece, application ID. This application ID is how this is the name of the package. At the end of the day, if you were to deploy to Google Play Store, is going to be com.xyz, or your company name .maui app. Okay, so now let me go through the rest of the files quickly. App icon, these are SVGs, so it's not going to get displayed as is. So we will run it, and I'll show you this. These are fonts, nothing special there. The .NET board guy is here, right? And here are the styles. So two interesting files. So one is called colors. So here is a primary color. It's actually purple because .NET has a purple on it. So let me first show you this app. So where this purple is coming, right? And then while the app is running, we will change some of this and see what happens, right? So it's doing a build. First time builds are always going to be longer. Okay. Okay, there it is. Beautiful. You see this? This is that purple we just saw. This primary color is purple, and this is that .NET board. It's an avatar, and yeah, that's the word I was looking for. And you know, some button which just shows how many times it clicked. It's a very simple app. This is what it create. That this is what the default. This is what the Maui team created for us when we clicked a new project. And now the beautiful thing is like just like you know React or other frameworks, it does have this hot reload functionality. Let's see how that works, right? um, right, let's see if this is say yellow. All right, okay, let me find a good green color, right? In colors, hex, we are going to change, yeah, shades of green, aqua. Okay, here we go. I'm just doing some googling right now. I'm going to pick a green color which kind of is good. That's what it is. Okay. All right. So let's put that in here and see what happens. Right. Yeah. See the color changed. I don't like the color though. We will change it later. So the color change. So it does have a function. It does have a feature called hard reload, which is quite like which is very popular. You know, if you are building an Angular app or React Native or something, you know, you just change things and things show up immediately. That's there in .NET MAUI, and don't expect it to work for everything. If you change parameters of a method or you know do too much of a change and then you expect hot reload to work, sometimes it won't. But for colors and themes like that, it's very easy to design for your XAML. Most of your XAML, which is like an XML based UI, you know, adapted by WPF and Xamarin Forms and and .NET MAUI. So all of this, the UI design, as the faster it actually reloads without you doing the recompilation is awesome, right? It shows you right there. So okay, so I'm going to change that to this, which is a little more pleasant. Let's see. Okay, a little more pleasant. Yeah, good. Yeah, maybe here. Okay, so there we are, and okay, better. I think we are back to square one. Okay, so now what we are going to do is we are going to run this also. Oh, before I close this, right? Did I close it? I think I closed it. Before I close this, I just wanted to show you on my task manager that it is a regular exe, just like any other Windows application. So let it come up one more time before we do further development. Okay, now that comes up. You can see that if you go to the process, it's a regular exe. It's just a Windows exe. That's what is being built, and the code base is .NET MAUI, right? So if I close this, and then I'm going to change this to Android, right? Now this is going to build and create an Android app to me based on its understanding of its the coloring theme and how the main page is configured. So it's going to show in a pixel emulator. So give it a moment for it to boot up. I'm going to close that. So as I was saying, the colors are going to be where you're going to define your theme. You have primary, secondary colors. You know, these are all based on the color wheel, which is not new. if you do any sort of development, web or mobile, you probably know what primary, secondary colors are. So this is where you can change those colors and brushes and things like that and play with it. And the styles are where the basic styles of different UI kits, either or Android widgets or Windows controls, UI controls. So the basic coloring and theming of that can be adjusted here. So you can see that the activity indicator, which is actually the spinner, we call it spinner, where something, it's waiting for some data to load, you show a spinner, and the spinner's color theming is actually defined here. It uses the primary color, and it uses some white on the dark mode. On the light mode, it uses primary color and things like that. So these things helps you create a theme for a .NET MAUI app. So now, as you can see that the Android Pixel emulator has booted up, which it says it found a device, that the device is booted up, and it is deploying the app right now. It's only the first time. It takes a lot of time. You can see an APK is being created and deployed to the Android. You can see the name of the APK there, right? Okay, so here, yeah, booting up. This is a splash screen, right? You saw a splash screen.svg. That's this. You replace that. Yeah, there you go. Whatever color we changed already for that Windows exe is has been applied on this Android screen as well. And see, everything works as expected. And now let's go through the rest of the code of this project, and then jump right into building an application, or changing the source code to what we wanted to build, right? So now I'm going to go a little faster, as we are at in my time 7:57. So here you have an app XML. This is the base of the application. This creates an app shell. Shell is useful in doing the navigations between the pages, and holding the app. But we are not going to build any navigation today. I don't think we will have enough time to do that, but I will probably, if possible, probably show an example of it, right? Somewhere downloaded samples or something. So this is the actual app shell, which has only an initialized component to it. This is the main page, which you just saw. And in the main page, if you could check, we saw an image, right? We saw an image, the .NET bot, right? And we saw a label, hello world, that's this. And we saw another label, and we saw a button, which is a counter button. Now on the code behind, I still like to call it code behind. So on the code behind, you see that once these buttons are clicked, a particular click event is being fired, and that click event is this one. You see this click event is being fired on the XAML, and that click event is actually changing um, the text of the button, and that's how we have clicked 11 times on the button, and this announcement to the screen is to update it. In normal, or in regular development, or if you are building a real app, you would probably use MVVM pattern, which people have been using for Xamarin apps and Xamarin forms for a long time, where it's a model view model pattern. So this pattern helps you. It's very similar to the state management in other, in web, like NGRX or Rei or Recoil or Redux. So what it does is you change it, the UI updates, you change the UI, the model updates, the variable updates, the UI updates. The UI changes, the variable gets updated. So that's the MVVM pattern in short. In its essence, we are not going to go through MVVM today. We will not have time for that, but I will show you some samples towards the end of the session, right? So this is the main program, where it actually looks very similar to an ASP.NET ASP.NET startup.cs. I don't think startup.cs is there anymore with the latest version. So it looks very similar to an ASP.NET startup.cs, where you can hook in your dependency injections, where you can hook in um, any other things you wanted to configure for this app, and this is that builder you have access to. So if you were to add dependency injection, you will use just services, builder.services. This is exactly the same thing you do for ASP.NET Core, right? Okay, so now let us get to it. I think we covered pretty much everything. Yeah, as I said, this is a splash screen. Yeah, did we miss? Yeah, we did this, and yeah, we will come back to the analysis later. So, yep, there you go. So that's it. So now let us stop this and let's start building the building this UI, right? Which we wanted to put an image on the top. Maybe we don't. We wanted to put a control, which is an input control, an entry actually. So you enter an year, and we wanted to have a button, and on click of that button, popular repositories from that year, from Jan 1st of that year, will get displayed based on an ascending order of popularity, which is nothing but GitHub stars, right? That's the idea. So first, let us delete everything, right? Okay, let's delete everything, right? So we would take the help of Google like normal folks during this, because I'm not an expert on XAML. I kind of forget a lot of things. It's a little tricky to remember everything in XAML because you use a lot of interesting syntaxes here, X dot, XAML namespaces dot and a colon and stuff like that, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to build a grid layout. So a grid layout, let me bring up MAUI grid layout, .NET MAUI grid layout. So a grid layout is something very interesting. This is a stack. This is absolute layout. This is a grid layout. A grid layout is like a flex box in CSS, right? So that's the best comparison. I feel it's like a flex box. So the grid layout is very easy because it um, helps you visualize things where it is, whether things are on the left side of the grid or right side of the grid. It's more like a TDTR if you talk about HTML, right? TDTR, or it's like a flex box. It's the grid layout. You can control which portion of the grid things are going into. So by using row definitions, column definitions, and row width, and which is nothing but column width, which is nothing but column span and things like that, right? So that is what we are going to do. So these examples of grid layout, you can see that there is a row definition, column definition, all of that, right? So what we are building is where is the screen? Yeah, what we are building is we wanted to have an image that is a row, another row, and then we wanted to have a third row, which is kind of like a scroll view. We wanted to bring in a lot of data there. We wanted to scroll that, right? So which is a collection. So what we are going to do is we are going to define the row definition here, right? So row definition, and we are going to have the first row, which is an image 200, and the second one and the third one we don't even know. The second one is auto, it just adjusted. Third one we don't even know. And we are going to say that the grid have a padding of 10. I will tell you why we added that. And the column definitions, as I said, if you look into it, we can see two columns here. For the entry, a left side column, and the go button is going to sit on the right side column. So we are going to have two columns, and let's say 65% and 35% for this. Yeah, this is how you probably do HTML. But for .NET MAUI, if I'm not wrong, this is how you do it. So you have to say this. This is the syntax, right? That's why I said we may need to Google a bit for XAMLs. So now we have a grid, and we said there are 3 rows. We said there are 2 columns, and the first column is 65% and the second column is 35%. And what we are going to do is we have to put an image, right? and this is going to be on the first row. How do you say this is going to be on the first row? We are going to say grid dot row 0, right? Grid dot row 0, right? And then okay, so we will say that this is on the grid dot row 0 and grid dot column span. We wanted to have this on both the columns. Um, we are going to span this on 2 columns. So now next thing we wanted to build is an entry, and this entry is going to be grid dot row 1 and grid dot column, right? We want it to be on the 0th column. And next thing we want is a button, right? Button grid dot row. We want this on the first row itself, right? And on the second column, right? Okay. All right, there you go. And lastly, we wanted a collection view, right? So we are not going to put the collection view in there. So let us just run this and see what's being displayed. Okay, so this doesn't exist. This is all fine. We will comment this out and then comment this out. We don't have any of that. That's why it's complaining. Let's run this and see what happens. Okay, so far so good. The image we didn't put, and there is an entry coming up, and there is a button. So we don't have a text for the button, right? So we are going to say text. Yeah, maybe that, right? And entry, we are going to have a name for the entry, and this one is going to be entry name is going to be from a year. Okay, and this image, I probably would take that image out for the time being. So we are going to put 0 here. It's fine. Okay, so now, yeah, this we have an input field, we have a go button, and now we wanted to display some data in there. So this go button, as what we wanted to do is we wanted to add some events. Clicked is okay. How about we just uncomment this and then here on go, right? Let's take this even and hook that up here, right? So now let's do one thing. Let's say count 0 count plus plus, just for the sake of making sure that things are being fired. See, now it complains that adding a method requires restarting the application. Now the hard reload is not going to work. We have to start it again, but subsequent reloads kind of skips the analyzer to speed up the build, so it kind of loads up really fast. Is it coming up? Okay, so let's hit the go button. Yep, it is hitting fine. So that's good. So now we are going to go back here and going to, okay, there is a name here and the go button, and then we need to do a collection view. So collection view is in .NET MAUI, collection view is nothing but a list, right? It's very simple. What it does is it kind of iterate through a list of things, and it kind of brings in a repeating data. So you can consider this like a list view, right? If you or it's like you are doing a for each and then displaying some information. You can consider it like that, right? So collection views has special syntaxes, so which I am going to bring up first. Let's see, .NET MAUI collection view, right? Let's look at an example, right? So, all right. So this is what it is. Data. Okay. So there it is. So what is a collection view needs? Collection view needs an item source, which is nothing but a list. Collection view needs an item template, a data template. So it's going to say what is binding within this particular view model or model. What is binding to what? So image URL might be sitting inside this monkey class, and name may be sitting inside the monkey class, and location is sitting inside the monkey class. Okay, for us, it's going to be a repository of GitHub, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to create a new class, right? Let's create, add a new item. I'm going to call it as repo.cs. No, actually, I would stop this and then right click, add a folder, say view models, view model. Actually, we are not using view models for this demo, but I'm going to keep it that way so that later I can show you some samples and you will understand better. So repo.cs. So what we have here is public class repo. What we need to display. Let's look into our target. We wanted to display the name of the repo, the description of the repo, and the stars of the repo. Okay, public string name, get and set. All right. Um, okay, public string description. Nice. It gave me some IntelliSense. Public int stars, possibly at and set. Okay, great. Okay, so this is our repo view model. So what we need to have in our main class, right? So in our main page. So what we wanted to display? We wanted to display a list of items, right? So in order to have a list of items, what do we need? We need a list of repos, right? List of, what is the name of the class? Is a repo. Okay, list of repo. We need a list of repo, right? Let's put that in there. Okay. All right, a public repo. Let's say repos, get and set. There you go. Okay, so now if we populate these repos using the GitHub repository, it should get displayed there. So let us go back into the template, and then let's copy this collection view, right? Let's take this as is and put in our template, right? And then see where we are. So now we are going to bind to repos, not monkeys, right? So that is our collection, right? And we are going to bind to repos, and then we are going to have a grid with a padding, row definition, auto. Um, Not really. Actually, what we wanted to do is we wanted to have two rows. In the first row, name and stars. In the second row, description, right? So we want two rows, and we want two columns as well. So let's do it, right? Let's, instead of this, let's say row definitions. We wanted to do two rows, and those two rows are going to be, yeah, I think auto is going to do fine. And so here's a grid.row definitions. No, actually it is just row definitions. Okay, and then we are going to say column definitions. This time we are going to use the same syntax, and this syntax is going to be 75%. I mean, the stars can sit in 30%. Okay. Okay, so that is our grid. Now we are defining it 2 times. That's why it's complaining about it. Now we are not going to have an image here. So we are going to have a label, and another label. So first label is grid dot row. That means the first row. First row, we are going to bind it to repo.name. Good. I mean, somebody put name in there. That's nice. So font attributes bold. Yeah, let it be bold. That's okay. And again, on the first row itself, we wanted to put stars. But this time we wanted to put on the, this one is on the column 0. And here, this one is on the column 1. We wanted to put the stars, right? Okay, let's put the stars. Let's look at it again. 0th, row 0, column 0, and row 0, column 0, and row 0, column 1, row 1, and column 0, or rows or column span 2 description. Okay, so this is row 0th row, first column. We are going to put the stars, right? Not italic. I don't want italic. Maybe vertical options. All of this is not needed. Okay, now this I'm going to copy this, and the third one is going to be the description, right? That is the next row. So the next row is nothing but row 1, column. We don't need to specify column here because it's going to take the entire columns. So we are going to say column span is 2. Only 2 columns are there. And this one can be italic. This doesn't have to be italic. This can be actually bold. All right. And then now we have a collection view. Now, so we are binding to repos, and we are going to display the name stars description, then iterate name star description in a collection. Okay, let's see what happens once we start putting some data in there, right? So let's go back here on this one, and let's say, let's add something here. Repos dot add new repo name some name. Just hard coding this for as a starter. Stars is equal to 1,000 stars, right? And actually stars is an integer. And then we are going to say description is equal to repo description 1. And then let's do this over and over a couple of times. And let's see if our collection view works as we want them to work, right? 1,200, 1,800, and this one is 2 and 3. Okay, so far the code is dirty, but it should do the job. All right, so okay, now we have an entry, a button, and then we have on the button click, we are actually putting some values into repos. Let's see if this binding works without MVVM, right? Okay, let's see. I hope everybody is with me so far. Okay, give it a moment till it boots up. Did it come up? Not yet. This time it's taking a little bit of time. Finally. Okay. Show your face. We're waiting. Okay. There we are. Okay. Let's click on the go button, right? And then see what happens. Oh, crashed. Yeah, actually, we have to, we did not initialize it. Don't tell me I may have to recompile and rebuild. Okay. Yep, stopped, unfortunately. I can do that right here after initialize component, but yeah. Okay, let's click on the go. Nothing happened, right? It did not display anything. You know why? Because the binding did not work without the MVVM. There is a quick fix for that. What is it? Let's do one thing. Let's go here and take out the binding to repo from here. And then let's put a name here. X.name SQL. This is a quick hack for bringing the data so that we can see it. Collection view list list repos, right? Let's call it list repos, and then go here, and then we say list repos. Yeah, it comes up automatically, right? You put it in XAML, it's already coming on the C# side. So here we say item source is equal to repos, right? Let's see. Let us, for the time being, let's put that guy in here. And then instead of a constructor, let's build it. Let's see. We have a solid half an hour. That's enough. Okay. Click on it. Nice. It gets added. And did it display? It did not display yet. So what could be the problem? So the name is this. We did say that the item template is this: name, stars, and description. And we said this is the data template. And we said list repos dot item source is repos, but it probably did not do the re-rendering portion of it when we did that. No, it did not. Okay, so let's do one thing, right? Let's, instead of doing this, let's get to the real portion of the app which we discussed, and then try to try to call the GitHub API and then connect everything up, right? So before we do that, there is a GitHub API, which okay. So this is the GitHub API I was showing you. So here, what I'm going to do is I wanted to create some classes. So let's create some C# classes from JSON file, right? JSON to C# class. Yeah, some online tools are available. Let's click on convert. Okay, nice. Okay, so we get some C# classes. This is nice. So I'm going to put that into this one, repo.cs. Yeah, we can actually put that in here. Item, owner, and a root. Okay, so this is what it is. This is what the C# class is generated from the JSON object. And it also says that this is the way to create the data back, right? I mean, to deserialize this object into the C#, right? So now what we are going to do is we are going to create an HTTP client is equal to new HTTP client. Okay. Here, let's call this HTTP client dot some get async. So we need a URL. Let's use this URL, right? Let's use that URL. Okay. Get async is to be awaited. So you're going to say await. And since this is not an asynchronous call, repose, just say result instead. So result await this, we may have to call the result here, right? Okay, so what is it complaining about? The represent asynchronous operation, the variable can use it within a async method. Async URL. Okay. Contain a definition for this. Okay. Get async HTTP client. We are actually building an HTTP client, and then that's right. Sorry, can't use await there. So result dot is success, and then on the else part we may need to do something. So we are just checking for a 200, and we are checking for not a 200. So here we may need to put some breakpoint in, and x is equal to 0, x plus plus. I'm going to keep a breakpoint in here just in case something bad happens. I just want to hit that breakpoint. So if it is success, if it is 200, so what we wanted to do is we are getting an HTTP response dot content dot, I believe, read as string async. Okay, read as string async dot result. That will give us variable JSON string, right? Okay, so we get a JSON string out of it. So basically what we get is this entire thing as a JSON string. I mean, not a JSON string, just as a string. So we wanted to deserialize this. So let us look into what they gave us. Okay, come back here. Root JSON object, and yeah, this is newtonsoft.json. I think they don't use that anymore. So C# deserialize JSON string. right? Let's see. What do they have? So let's look for deserialize. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, JSON serializer. I think that's a built-in thing which we can use. JSON serialize dot deserialize root from the string. Let's hit this. Let's hit this GitHub API and see what happens. Right. Okay. So let's click on this. Go through this. Success. Nice. We were able to hit GitHub. That is nice. So we got the data back from GitHub. Now we are going to deserialize it. Now we have an object which has something called items. And inside each item, oh, beautiful. Inside this item, we have the repo, number of forks, number of stars, everything there. Beautiful, right? This is star gases count. Probably that's what stars are. Okay, so now what we wanted to do from here onwards, we wanted to fill this object up, right? So we are going to take this out, right? So we're going to say repos is equal to JSON object dot items. We saw items are there. Dot select possibly, and for item, using a little bit of link here, right? New repo, and then what do we need? We need name is equal to item dot name. Yeah, good. And not that. Description is equal to item dot description. Nice. And stars is equal to item dot star something. Yes. Okay. This is going to be dot to list. It's going to take away that problem. Yeah, that takes away that problem. So now we are going to have this repos, and let's see if we can set the item source into the repos. What is that item source name? Let's look into that. Okay. Here dot item source is equal to repos, right? Okay. So we set the item source. Now let's go back to the main page. It did not, when we hard coded the values, it did not render it properly. Let us see. Go back to the main page. Here we have a name for it. We have a data template, right? And we have the binding to the name within that repo view model, right? It does have a name inside that. And we have a binding to the stars, and we have a binding to description. It should work. Let's see what it does. This time, I don't think we may have to initialize any of this because this is going to create a new list right here after the link query. Okay, let's see. Okay, everything looks good so far. Okay, did succeeded. The repos are populated using the link query, just what we want, the number of stars. And then we set the item source. Still nothing, right? Why? Still nothing. Okay, so we have a collection view. See, let's say we do something wrong, right? We did not say where the collection view sits. Grid dot row is, this is going to be row from here. Yeah, it's fine. And this is going to be row 0, 1, and 2, and then grid dot column span, right? Columns, no, not column span is, we want the item view to expand to the width of the screen. Beautiful, it's coming. Okay, so now it looks ugly. What are we doing wrong? So grid dot this is actually the second row. Zeroth, the first row is actually, we just said we don't need an image and we put the first row as 0 height. So that's not going to show up anywhere. First row is an entry, and on the 0th column sitting an entry, and on the first column a button is sitting. And this is a row number 2 and a column span of 2. Row number 2 and grid dot column span is 2. It should actually expand all the way to here. Let me just stop this and rerun this and see what happens. Is there a background color to grid? I'm not so sure. Yeah, background color, maybe gray, sometime type of gray, light gray. I don't need the breakpoint no more. Oh, nice. It started showing up in a proper way. Let me set, yeah, what did happen here? What is it showing? The change is not supported by XAML hot reload and will not be applied. Okay, beautiful. So while we were doing it, it was not telling us. So sometimes you have to, fall back to rerun, right? So some of the XAML changes it doesn't support when we do the hard reloading. So far so good. We click the go button, the data appears. Yeah. Oh, the whole grid becomes gray. We don't want that. So what we can do is, yeah, we can do something later. As of now, this is fine. So here we will do a margin, maybe margin of 10 and a padding of 5, and that's probably going to clean it up a little bit. Yep. Now we what I'm saying here is, within the grid I need a margin of 10. This is all repeating on like a loop. So I'm just saying that I need a margin of 10 within the elements of this data template, and a padding of 5, and that kind of gave me some spacing around things, right? So you can see that I'm able to scroll. And what we wanted to do right now is we wanted to hook this entry with this go button, and we wanted to change this list. So we have hard coded right now, and we are saying that from 2019. So instead of that, I do want to collect the data from here, which is this from here. So what we wanted to do is, all right, let's use interpolation, right? Interpolation, and then we say from here dot text possibly, and that should change, right? I guess so. So the button click is going to call the ongo The entry is going to have a name of from here, and the text within the entry we are going to use within this URL. Actually, if this is empty, we can write code like that. If from here.txt is empty, then don't do anything. But let's not worry about that right now, because GitHub probably would handle it if we send nothing here. So, or even some others instead of an here, something else here. So far things look good. I guess the hard reload is gonna work there, right? So let's see 2020, right? So which are the repositories which are famous from 2020? Okay, these repositories are famous from 2020, 2021. Let's see if this changes. Actually, it literally changes. I don't see any change in here, but we can look into the repos. Okay, so that's actually not working. Let's see what's going on here. 2014, actually it is doing it. So then why is it not working? No, hold on. Click on it again. Say F10, F10. Oh, it failed. Why it failed? Oh, maybe GitHub is blocking us because these URLs are supposed to be accessed using a token, right? GitHub APIs are supposed to be accessed using a token. So let's trick it a little bit. Let us tell GitHub that we are actually coming from a browser, right? So how do we do that? How do we do that? By changing the user agent. So how do we change the user agent? I also do a lot of ASP.NET thingy. So I do know that if I tell the user agent is this using the HTTP client, it can confuse GitHub a bit, right? So let's say HTTP client dot default something, default, yeah, default headers dot add. Yeah, I believe it's a user. Let's see, what is it saying? User dash agent, U and A capital. So dash agent, comma. Okay, let's tell GitHub that we are actually calling from a browser. Actually, we are not, but we will just, let's try to trick them so that they kind of keeps giving us data. All right. Okay, let it load up. (2014). I wanted to see something different. 5. Oh yeah, before it was 996.icu was coming before as the top repo. Now from 2014 onwards, we see that some repo with I don't know, these many stars are coming on top. So let's change it to 2020, who is famous from 2020 when the pandemic started. Change, yeah, this guy, it's actually a real repo. Yeah. So crack lead code, that's what they are going to do. I think looks like everything for the beginners is coming on top. These are the repos who have, or to crack an interview, they are all coming on top. These are the famous repos. Let's see who is famous this year. Stable diffusion, ran, summary, JSON crack, gamma. Okay. Since .NET MAUI is not, I mean, .NET MAUI can be also there. I don't know. I mean, it may not have those many stars. So let's see 2020. Yeah, that works. 2021. Let's see 2021. Yeah, ML for beginners, machine learning. Yeah, things are working fine. So this is what I intended to do for this demo. We are right on track. We are right on time. We faced difficulties. As I was saying in the beginning, we will have, we are not going to go through scripted things or recorded things. We are going to build it from scratch, we are going to have problems, and we are going to Google things, and we are going to implement it. So that's what we did. That's what we did. So now I think it is question time. Um, we can remove this. This should have worked. Why it didn't work is I didn't tell where that where the collection view is going. So this is what I was missing. Even something simple like this could make you scratch your head. So this could have worked. It didn't work because of that reason. So now I believe we can take some questions. Oh, there are a lot. Okay, can we deploy MAUI apps on Google TV or Android TV? Android TV, possibly. I'm not 100% sure. I never built a TV app. Never felt the need to do one. But yes, Tyson, pretty sure you can. Android TV, I don't know. But MAUI apps do run on Android. I don't see a reason why not. So .NET Foundation collection view is missing grid attached property. Okay, see, somebody was helping me out. I did not see it. Yeah, too late to see it, right? And okay, so you could have made the event handler async void, which could enable you to use await. Yes, which is correct, and async void, which would have enabled me to use await, which is right. The purpose of this demo was to go through this as quickly as possible. So some things I try not to do. The right way of doing this is using MVVM pattern. But right now, what we are doing is we kind of hook things up on the fly. But if we have used MVVM pattern, you would probably would have a new view model, and this class would be a partial class, and this will be a partial class, and then this will actually uh, derive from observable object, which is actually part of community toolkit.mvvm. So, and then what happens is you don't need to do any of this. Everything is bound together. It's like you change the repos, the UI updates. The UI changes, this one updates. You change a value in an entry, the value is coming here automatically. So you kind of have a view model take care of it instead of directly accessing the text. So this method, this event handler, will become a command, and that is going to go inside this view model. So you will bring in MVVM toolkit and stuff like that, right? So the last question is just a hello. So any other questions, anybody? You can always ask in the YouTube link. So if there are no questions in 5 minutes, let me also quickly show you how you do this with an MVVM pattern, which I kind of did. I did know that I wouldn't have enough time to create an entire application within an hour with everything hooked up. So this is another. I was just doing a sample like this. So your view model will be like this, and you can see that this is going to be an observable collection. This is our repos, and you could see that the relay command property comes in. And if you go into the dependencies, I said I will go into it later. If you see the dependencies, you can see the main view model, the view model which I have. Everything is actually taken care for you. Um, the I notify property change, all of that actually gets created internally. So what you do is you kind of have a private field, not a property. But when you deal with it, you actually deal with a field. The field is created for you. You see, this is a property with a small letter r, where, sorry, no, this is a field with a small letter r, and I'm using a property here. This property is actually created for you by the the MVVM toolkit. So you can see that the community toolkit.mvvm, this is a NuGet package which you will include, and that kind of takes care of it for you. So what you do is you kind of go into your page. Sorry, the main page may not have any of this actually. So you kind of go into the page and you just tell the page that, hey, I'm using the view model namespace, and main view model is my data type, and in your collection view you're going to say that I'm going to use this particular view model. That's it. That's all you're going to do, nothing else. So the item, the binding, the data source, all of that is happening. Just using this. You don't need to write that C# code which we wrote, dot item source dot is equal to repos. We don't have to write that. So now the collection changes, it kind of automatically do the UI updates. That's what MVVM is. And it's a famous framework for WPF and Xamarin Forms and all of that. So you can look into MVVM pattern, right? You can look into this MVVM pattern. It's very famous. It's made famous by it, by Xamarin and WPF and all of that, right? So if you're developing in MAUI, you probably would already know MVVM, and so just wanted to go through that. So I think there are no more questions. So back to you. I hope there are no questions. So back to you, Ben.
Thank you very much, Anish. We learned a lot. Thank you for taking us to Maui. And before we finish, I'll be dropping a link in the chat. This will be a questionnaire, and basically, if you could just fill it out tonight, it's just collecting feedback about tonight's presentation. If you like, you could leave your details inside that we can contact you and to enter a draw for a JetBrains license. So that's like for a ReSharper, Writer, like this. So if interested, and even if you're not interested, we still welcome your comments and feedback. So feel free to do that sometime tonight. And if you win, someone will contact you tomorrow. So yeah, thanks again, Nish. We really appreciate it. And I learned a lot, and I'm sure everyone else has too.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting me, Ben and Michael.
Our pleasure. And who knows, maybe we can do it again sometime, maybe.
Absolutely. Why not?
Great.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, everyone. So everyone have a good night and stay safe. And yeah, think about going to Maui sometime. Take care.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.